Everybody, this is Dave Free. You all hear me? Well, to the discussion on scope management. If you've got any questions, you are welcome to the chat facility to questions, and I will then answer them. Now, looking at project scope management, we can ask ourselves what we need to understand project scope management on projects. Why is it important? In order to answer this question, discuss the knowledge area of project scope management, investigate what the purpose and the content thereof is. That's what we will be covering in tonight's session. Firstly, we will use the definition of project scope management as well as the key activities thereof, with clarity on the difference between the scope of the product versus scope of the project. Although they are closely related and very similar, there are some things that we will have a look at. In order to facilitate a better understanding of this knowledge area, thus the key terms used in project scope management, so very key terms we're going to look at. We will also pack the detail of the 5 project management processes encountered in this knowledge area. It is important to note that the first 3 of these processes are process planning group, objective to provide inputs for the development of the project plan, while the latter processes are from the monitoring and control process group, aiming to control changes to the project and product scope, as well as the acceptance of the completed project deliverables. The processes to be unpacked are collecting the requirements, define scope, creating the WBS, and verifying the scope. The first 3 from the plan process group are verifying scope and controlling scope from the monitoring and the control process group. Also, we conclude the session with some questions as usual to take understanding of the session, some typical exam questions. Our questions thus far regarding the content we are going to discuss. We are next to discuss the definition and the key activities of project scope management. So far, continue, and let's look at what project scope management is all about. The purpose of project scope management is to ensure that the project includes all the work required and only work required to complete successfully. Nothing else. Project management ensures that we define and get agreement on what is included and what is included from a project. It is important that we define what is excluded from a project and what it is for us to define what is included in the project. To clarify and have agreement on exactly what is included and what is excluded from the project, from the scope project, to ensure that the project achieves its objectives without wasting time or money on unrelated or not required activities. Okay, good. Just a moment. That says my voice is very low. Most of you, can you hear me? Can you see feedback on that from please? No, okay. I'll put my volume up a little bit. Good. It's important to have agreement on exactly what is included and excluded, so that the skills required for the project can be clearly defined. also, it's more important for planning, that planning be realistic and based only on work that is included in the scope of the project. The key activities we're going to look at: conduct, to make sure that all the work is being completed through the process, monitoring and controlling the project work, quality control, and controlling the scope. One of the other keys would be to letting people randomly add to the project scope by implementing into change control. As project managers, it's our job to make certain that we implement change control. And then to prevent gold plating, that is more than what is required as part of the project scope. The gold plating is similar to scope creep, but it's done by the project team. So not just as project teams, project managers, as it comes by scope creep, that's what we call it gold plating. The plan is the project manager must prevent uncontrolled changes to the project scope. It's not to say that there shouldn't be any changes, but we should limit or should eliminate or prevent uncontrolled changes. Are there any questions regarding what project scope management is? I know this is an overview. We're going to go into detail further. We will next discuss the differences between the product and the project scope. Product scope is features and functions that characterize the product. So the result of the product scope is set against the product requirements document. For instance, functional requirements, technical requirements, performance requirements, maintainability requirements, etc. The product scope is implemented in the product requirements document, where project scope needs to be attached to the product, service, or result with the specified features and functions. The completion of the product is measured against the project management plan. The product or project requirements includes business requirements, reference requirements, etc. Project scope is included in the project charter and in the project management plan. Between the product and the project scope is necessarily completed when the product scope is completed. For instance, the product is not yet completed until the project closure has been completed. The product scope is normally completed before project closure. Scope management, as defined in both the product scope as the project scope. In real life, we normally talk about the scope of the project, not times meaning both. Are there questions regarding the difference between the project and the product scope? As it says, both product and project scope are verified against the project charter. The project scope mainly against your charter and your project management plan, whereas your product scope will be defined in your product requirement documents. So you will put there and you would verify it against that. We will investigate some of the key terms in product management. Now, if we talk about scope management, we're actually including both of them, right? The work and structure. Work and structure is one of the most important project management outputs from the project and be defined as a decomposition of all work to be executed by the project team to accomplish project's objectives. each descending level of a WBS represents an increasingly more detailed definition of the level above. Example on the screen. Project scope. Banking software development is subdivided into the 5 main deliverables of recruitment, documentation, design and architecture, code, test, and go live. The deliverables will be broken down further until the work package level is reached. The package is the level that deliverables of WBS are broken down to. Works are not really on all level. Of the WS or the work package structure can be broken down further than others, and work for some deliverables only have to be decomposed to the level, while for others, various levels are required to reach the work package level. Is the level where the cost and schedule of the work reliably be estimated and the work can be monitored and controlled. The number of levels that the scope is decomposed to will depend on the complexity of the work, the scale of the resources, as well as the management style of the project manager. Any questions on the work structure, the overview of the work package structure? We'll look at what the work package structure is. Oops, I went too far. The WS to subdivide all the work. Some of this, my volume is very less again. Let me just have a look here. Is it better now? Somebody answer if the volume is now better. Okay, seems like it's better now. The WB subdivide all the work that needs to be done on the project into the different components down to the level of the work package. We have not much information regarding the specific components. That's how in the block is captured. Only the WBS element, the component number, and a few words describing the element. Information, every element is obviously open to multiple operations that can lead to miscommunication on the project. We must remember that one of the advantages of using a WBS is the communication that takes place between the team members while defining the WBS and the WB dictionary. The dictionary fills this gap by putting detail for the components of the WBS and specifically for the work level. The dictionary for which can include a more detailed description of the work package, including deliverable, activities for start and end dates required to complete the work package, the interrelationships, the dependencies between activities, this work package structure dictionary, other work packages can have the skills for the persons or the organization responsible for completing the work package, or the skills required for the terms of the work package, can have estimates to technical information regarding the deliverable, etc. So it will depend on how much detail you require to manage your project. Where this WBS and the WBS dictionary fits in with the rest of the project. WBS comes down at the bottom of your W, the work level. So for each and every one, you would find the WBS dictionary. Having WBS dictionary, which you would do estimating, if you look at what we said, what is in there, cost balance, our project schedule, quality planning, procurement planning, our resource requirements, all those things are part and parcel of the information that we'll get out of our WBS dictionary. Are there questions on WBS and the WBS dictionary before we look at the scope management processes? Good. Continue. Project management, it ensures that we define an agreement on what is included and what is excluded from the project. This is by executing the process of collecting requirements, for scope, creating the WBS, verifying scope, and controlling the scope. Is it now better? What problems with the volume tonight? Is that 58? Is it better? Let's continue. I'll work a bit louder. I hope it works better now. Project scope management consists of those 5 processes: collecting requirements, designing the stakeholders, the expectations in order to satisfy the objectives of the project, documentation, and documenting in the requirements documentation. Define the scope is doing a detailed description of the project and product and document it in the project scope statement. Define what is included and what is excluded. Create WBS, dividing or decomposing the scope to the work package level and document it in the WBS and the WBS dictionary. The scope is viewing or using testing of the project deliverables with a sponsor, obtain acceptance and sign off on the documentation. Controlling changes to the scope baseline, scope statement, WBS and your WBS dictionary, integrated change control. Ensuring that all the work required and only the work required is included in the project. That's what it's about. Are there any questions on this overview of the project scope management knowledge area? Then we will unpack the different project scope management processes. Everybody comfortable with that? I will continue. Let's start collecting requirements. Collecting requirements consists of obtaining the stakeholders' needs and expectations, interviews, questionnaires, etc. Identify the project objectives and document it in the requirements documentation. Let's see need there. Inputs required to this process of collecting the requirements are, as we see in the project charter. From project charter, we get the high-level project product description. For our requirements, guide us in the requirements collecting process. For the register, we get the identification and the contact details of the stakeholders, the explanations and the requirements. So our inputs, we can look at the tools and techniques that we can use. From there, interview stakeholders to obtain and to verify the requirements and the expectations. Build a prototype of the product to assist the customer in defining their requirements. They can see, touch and feel a prototype. They can, lots of times they can identify the requirements much clearer. So another one is the question surveys, for instance, to obtain requirements from a large number of stakeholders. This can be followed up with a statistical analysis of the requirements and verification or clarification by means of interviews. Stakeholders can be brought together also in facilitated workshops to define the requirements, importantly, to resolve any differences or conflicting requirements. Now, activity techniques that we can use include Delphi. Delphi is where we try to get the people to work safely and independently, and brainstorming would be where we're getting the group to think together so that what with we more than what each and individual part of the team would have come up with. Now, outputs, documentations describing how the individual requirements support the business need for the project. It's always important that we bring our project back to the business needs, because that's the reason why the project is there. The requirements management plan, part of the project management plan, documents how requirements will be obtained and managed throughout the project. Traceability matrix provides of tracking requirements throughout the project to ensure that all requirements are linked to business needs and that only all requirements are included in the projects delivered. Any questions on the requirements? The project scope. Are the questions? Requirements? Let's continue. If there are questions, I'll answer them as they come. Define scope. The scope of developing a detailed description of the project and product, implementing it in the product scope statement, define what is included and what is excluded. Before I go further, I see there's a question of example for traceability matrix. Not the example, but I can explain to you what a traceability matrix is, and that it's a matrix in which you make certain that what business needs are included in your in your functional requirements. What is functional requirements would be in your technical requirements or technical specifications. What technical specifications will be in your design. What design will be in your product. What product will be tested. So from the one to the other down the line, there will be nothing more or nothing less. Because if there's more, then you're doing work that's not required by the business need for the project, and you're leaving something out, you're not adhering, following the total business need. The traceability matrix. Right, let's continue. With the ins of defining scope, from the charter, we get high level project and product description and requirements to go in developing the detailed descriptions. The documentation, how individual requirements relate to the business need for the project, ensure that the project scope statement focuses on the business needs. Now, for process assets, there we're thinking of things such as templates, policies, and lessons learned from projects can also influence the development of the project scope statement. Techniques that we can use in defining the scope. An individual or a group with expert knowledge can analyze the information required to develop the project scope statement. We do subdividing high-level product description into tangible components by means of product background structure, very similar to a work background structure, or through systems analysis. Systems identification is where we generate alternatives to execute the work done on the project, for instance, by using techniques such as brainstorming or peer comparison. Accepted alternative can influence the development of the project scope statement. Now, workshops, thinking of stakeholders, they can all together find the project scope statement and, importantly, resolve any conflicts or differences. Outputs that we have in defining the scope is a project scope statement. In more detail, the description of the product scope, criteria, project deliverables, project exclusions, your constraints, and your assumptions. All documents that may require updating at this stage can include the stakeholder register. Of course, in the CES, we might have identified more stakeholders or more needs for stakeholders. Requirements documentation or requirements traceability matrix. We might have found that there is a need that is fully supported at the by the functional requirement. Questions on the defining of the scope, the scope. We are going to look at the work breakdown structure and unpack how we create the work breakdown structure. Create WS, subdividing or decomposing the project scope into the work package level, document it in the WBS and the WB dictionary, what we discussed earlier. Inputs required for developing the WBS and the WBS dictionary include the scope statement. Now, the scope statement provides a high-level product scope description, the deliverables, exclusions, and assumptions. The acceptance criteria should be taken into consideration when developing your WBS dictionary. So that's with strictly document that. Reviewing the requirements documentation, ensure that the WBS stays focused on the business needs for the project. The organization's assets referred to there would be just your WBS templates, procedures, standards, or lesson learned information that can impact on development of your WBS. The techniques, we've only got decomposition there. These two techniques can, by means of related workshops, etc. From this process of the WBS, subdividing the project into manageable components. Remember them, work package levels. The WBS dictionary that supports the WBS with more detailed description of the WBS components or work package level. The scope baseline that is entered into the project management plan, and the baseline consists of the WBS, the WBS dictionary, and updated product scope statement. One thing that we must remember about WBS, and that it is one of the verification tools to get the team all of each and understanding exactly what is work and what is required of each and every one. Any questions on the development of your WBS and WBS dictionary? We have to evaluate what process are verifying the scope. Now, the scope in reviewing or using acceptance testing of the deliverables, the project management, as well as product deliverables, with a customer or sponsor as obtaining acceptance and sign-off of acceptance documentation. This is part of the monitoring and the controlling process group. Required to support the process can include a project management plan, and then specifically of the scope statement, the WS and the WBS dictionary, detail the total scope of the project and the project work that needs to be executed. Required documentation to support the verification that the project deliverables are new, are focused on the business need for the project. The traceability matrix ensures that every project deliverable be traced back to the need, and that all business needs of the project have addressed in the deliverables. Now, validated deliverables, in other words, deliverables that have been validated as correct, are the object of the view, obviously. Techniques, validation deliverables are inspected and accepted by customer. Outputs can include tools that meet acceptance criteria, they are accepted and they are signed off by the customer. Deliverables that do not meet the acceptance criteria, they might need changing, in which a change request will be documented. As may be required to project documentation, such to the WBS, WBS dictionary, status reports, etc. On the process of verifying the scope and accepting the completed project deliverables, to investigate the process of controlling scope to see what that is all about. I do not have any questions yet, so let's continue. Scope. Control comprises of the controlling of all changes to the scope baseline. That's your statement, your WBS, your WBS dictionary, through the process of integrated change control. To control the scope, the inputs required can include the management plan and scope baseline, including your WBS, as the input to compare to actual results and to determine what actions to take. This information, such as progress made with complete deliverables, so it matches the defined scope, is to control the scope of these deliverables. The required documentation is document containing functional, non-functional requirements for the project. Require traceability matrix, provide structure, control changes to the deliverable scope, as every deliverable back to the business requirements. This is assets, such policies, procedures, or standards that are control related need to be taken into consideration. The tools, looking at tools and techniques there, varied analysis, comprise the measurement of the deliverable satisfies its approved scope line. The deviation is one as reasons for the deviation, and actions that we can call active or preventive actions will be determined. Outputs can be work performance measurements of actual technical performance against planned performance that will be implemented and communicated to the stakeholders. Change requests will be required after the variance analysis for any corrective or preventive actions. Analysis may highlight the need to update project documents used as input to this process. For instance, the project management plan, required documentation, the required stability matrix, or additional process assets. Any questions on the process of controlling the scope? We will continue and with some typical questions regarding. I've got here, what is the difference? BW. Not shown with BW. Work promotion and measurements. Can you go back to work performance information and explain again? Right, let's look at the work performance. You want work performance measurements? Yeah. Work performance measurements. That is the actual technical performance. In other words, what did we do? And the planned performance. In other words, what did we baseline in our project? It will be documented and communicated to stakeholders. Come, yes, if the question, say what we've done, what we said we're going to do. If everything's fine, no problem. If there's change needed, it might need to generate a change request. Okay, good. Let's look at some of the questions there. So there, during which project and process group is the scope created? Planning, initiating, executing, or monitoring and controlling? Question here, is there any concept called the 100% rule? It's not relevant at this stage here, so let's let that one stand over and let's look at the quiz first here. Which one? Let's some A's. Where's over there? Good. Let A. The process group consists of the processes required to define the project scope and to meet requirements. So yes, that is the right one. Anything? No. The initial process group consists of identifying the stakeholders and documenting the project charter. So this is not what we're talking about here. The executing, no, not there. The editing process group comprises executing the activities baselined in the project management plan to meet the project's objectives. And the monitoring controlling, no. The controlling process group of those processes used to monitor, control, and report on the project progress in quality management and integrated change control. So the best possible answer looks like the planning one. Good. The next one. During the project meeting, one of the team members suggests a nice feature the customer may like. The project manager says no to this feature, indicating the project would concentrate only on what is required for the project to get completed and nothing else. An example of change management, project management, and team management. Most answers say A, scope management. I agree. The purpose of project scope management is to ensure that the project includes all the work required to complete the project successfully, and only the work required to complete the project successfully. Nothing more, nothing less. If we look at management, now, integrated change control process is concerned with reviewing, approving, and controlling all changes to the project scope. The project manager has said yes in this case. The feature, we nice, integrated change control process would have to be followed to implement that change. So, approval and everything should have been obtained. Project management, an option on top there. No, project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project's objectives. Although it includes management, much more incorrect. So, because management is part of project management and quality management. Now, although to scope management, quality management consists of quality planning, quality assurance, and quality control, and is merely concerned with meeting the quality requirements specified for the deliverables. So, the best candidate, this one, looks like A, scope management, as you said. Here we go. Question 3, as project is in the instruction phase, after only the testing and implementation phase remains to be done. The project 3 weeks ahead of schedule. What would you be most concerned about? Now this can be controversial. Would you be more concerned about quality control, scope verification, cost control, or change control? Most says there's some A's, some B's, B and A here. Let's look at them. Remember, your project is 3 weeks ahead of schedule, according to the. As a project manager, do you be concerned about? Obvious project manager, you'd be concerned about all 4 areas offered as a possibility. But let's what's our biggest concern? Take consideration that the project is presumably 3 weeks ahead of schedule, shortly before testing and implementation. With that, as in some information that may change what we should be most concerned about might not be available here. Our quality control, ongoing process, monitoring and recording the deliverables against the quality criteria. Our indication in question, any quality-related problems were identified. So, part of that one, it doesn't look like a very good candidate. Scope verification. Scope includes reviewing or acceptance testing of the deliverables, the project management, as well as the product deliverables, with the customer or the sponsor, as obtaining acceptance and sign-off on the acceptance documentation. We state that until the deliverables are accepted by the customer or the sponsor as a scope verification process, we will make sure if the project is really 3 weeks ahead of schedule. So that looks like a very good candidate. As most of you said, B. Cost control is cost baseline, the project verification in the question that any cost-related problems we define. So I would say that's a good candidate. And change control is the process of reviewing, approving, and controlling all changes on the project. On the occasion that the question that change control problems were identified. So the best date seems to be B, and quite correctly indicated. In question 4, another manager asked about the software to be used to create the WBS. He is overly concerned about the graphical representation of the WBS. As you remember, there are a graphical representation or outline representation that we can use. An experienced project manager used to him that the results of create WBS is not a graphical representation, but in our list of activities or the WBS number system. I do the answers yet there. There's a couple of A's coming through. Yeah, there's one D and some A's. Let's have a look at it. Team, that one A, as I said A, yes. Remember that one of the most important advantages of using the WBS is the combination. I referred to that just now. That between the team members while defining the WBS and the WBS dictionary. So that is a greatly important part. The bar chart, normally in management presentations, and it's not applicable to this question. Activities, list of activities is an important output of the WBS dictionary, but a team buy-in and understanding to be executed. Now, the numbering system is important in the sense that it serves as a reference from many other project documentation to the WBS. For instance, from your or first plan, and should be changed once the WBS is baseline. However, team buy-in, number A, still to be the answer. Right answer is team buy-in. To question 5. Following is not true regarding subdividing the work in the WBS. Subdivide until it has meaningful conclusion. Subdivide until it can be done by a single person. Subdivide until it can not be literally subdivided further, or subdivide until it can be realistically estimated. Which one is not true, right? So, first, subdivide until it has meaningful conclusion. I don't need to have a problem with that one. Subdivide until it can be done by a single person. Nope. Work pack can be allocated to a group of people, or even outsourced to another company and controlled by means of a contract. So that seems to be a candidate. With that one, subdivide until it can logically subdivide it further. Yes, because that's how far you will go. And subdivide until it can be realistic estimates. That's also true. So one out there is be subdivide until it can be done by a single person. Then the last one, project manager, what can you use to clearly communicate what work is included in the work packages, the requirements document, the scope statement, the project management plan, or WBS dictionary. This is there. I see some D's coming there. Oh, 4 D's. Good. We're glad we agree on that one. Dictionary, yes, the WBS dictionary contains more information on components of the WBS and can be used to clearly communicate what work is included in the work packages. Let's look at the others quickly. The requirements document, no, this higher level document describing how the individual requirements support the business need for the project. The statement, no, this one either. As part of scope baseline in the management plan, the scope statement is also a higher level document describing the scope, the project deliverables, and user acceptance criteria. For the plan, now this is a more detailed document that is how the project will be executed, monitored and controlled. And the WBS and the WBS dictionary, it is not the most correct one, because the WBS dictionary is the more detailed one as part of project management plan. So let's look at that one. Yep, we agree that one there. At the end of tonight's session, are there any other questions that you would like to discuss? I want to say thank you to all of you. I enjoyed it. Can you explain the difference between the scope. Let us see the thing over here. The of work. I cannot get one closed on that part there. Good. Your is the total of your work that you are going to do. Eh? So the scope includes everything, and if we talk about scope, we can talk about the project scope or the product scope. Project scope would be all the work that needs to be done. The scope would be just what is the product that we are going to deliver. That option. Okay, questions. I want to say thank you to all of you. Have a good evening, and see you again next Tuesday. Thanks and goodbye.